Hello, everybody, and welcome to Three Things You Must Do Before You Write Your First Book. This is part of Become a Published Author in 126 Days Mastermind that I've been running with these amazing people down here. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Cool. So, I'm just simply aware that there are a lot of people out there with a really powerful message. And, the one thing that I love telling first-time aspiring authors is that nobody knows what you know like you know it. The experiences that you've had over the course of your life have infused different levels of knowledge and wisdom, different combinations of knowledge and wisdom, and nobody else in the world has that combination of knowledge, of wisdom, of insight, of awareness. And that's why I'm so passionate. This is one of my passion projects, is to help people get their first book published, because I'll tell you, when you publish that first one, the second, once you do it once, it's just like anything. I learned from Anthony Robbins along the way that repetition is the mother of skill, and that the more you do anything, no matter what it is, the better you're going to get at it. And so I wrote my first book, The Homeless Motivational Speaker, in about 7 months total. And I'll share some of the things that came up along the way during that journey. My second book I wrote in a little over 2 months, which is called Developing a Healthy Relationship with Money, a guide for high school and college students. And I just finished my third book, and it's called Become a Published Author in 126 Days, 126 reminders to keep you on the path and help you finish the journey, or something like that. But I wrote that one in 44 days, and yeah, and it's kind of what, the more you do anything, the better you're going to get at it. And like, this program is a challenge. Think of it as a 126-day challenge, so that when you step into it, you're going to be challenged. You're going to be ruffled up a little bit. Your stuff, your junk is going to come up, and that's what I wanted to bring all of these amazing people here today for, is let's explore what it takes to get started. What are there a few things that you should probably do before you get started, and and let's talk with these amazing folks over here about their experience. Some of them are brand new into the mastermind. A couple of them joined me in the last round, and so you'll just be able to get a good feel for their experiences, and you'll take some really tangible tools away from this hangout, so you can start writing your first book. So I can go, really deep into my story, but I really want to give you some valuable content. Tara's in the house. All right, cool. So I just wanted to give you some content up front here, and I got my little workbook. And the first thing, guys, that I wanted to share is that to get aware of what beliefs do you have about writing a book. And I would love for you guys to jump in here. So I'm going to offer a statement, and and for those of you who are watching, complete this sentence somewhere. Get a pen out, get a pad out, and take some notes, because we're gonna offer a lot of content. And so again, you're probably here on this hangout because you have a book inside of you and it's ready to come out, and there's no stopping it from coming out, and you're like, I'm doing it, let's do this. So here's the statement, write it down. Writing a book is, and then fill in the blank. What pops in there? What awarenesses pop in for you guys?
Hard work.
Hard work. There you go. Okay.
Scary.
Scary. Cool. What else?
Great journey.
Did you say great learning, Otto?
Great journey.
Yeah.
Great journey. There we go. Cool. What else?
A lot of fun as well.
A lot of fun. So a mixture of beliefs that we have in there. Writing a book. Anybody else want to share? Writing a book is?
I would say it takes a lot of time.
Okay. Cool. So are we willing, number one, just to become aware of everything? Because think about all the things that we've learned along the way about writing a book. And what if it were more simple than it's made out to be? What if, just consider, what if it's far more simple than it has ever been in the past because of the evolution in technology? The cool thing about writing a book these days is that you don't have to go out and find a big publisher who's going to sell your book, right? You don't have to go and find that. Technology has allowed us to do that. And so consider that writing a book these days, especially writing your first book, is far, I'm not going to use the word easy, but I will use the word simple. The process is simple. The work is challenging. You know, and so I know, Kim, you were part of the first round. You were 80–90% close to having your book published.
Yes.
Can you just share a little bit about, like, some of the challenge you faced along the way?
Well, you're right. Like the technology stuff is not hard because you give us everything we need. It's the personal stuff. It's the not knowing where to go. It's the creating your time, judging what you're writing is, you know, I had a lot of times where I'm like, oh my God, this is crap. Who's going to want to read this? So I'd stop writing for a couple of days. And yeah, so that's the hard part is all this. I'm going to say it's all the internal stuff, the judgment, and I don't have time. Who's going to want to read this and all that kind of stuff.
I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that. Cool. So those internal demons, and we'll go through a process here called the hero's journey. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that, Kim?
Time. You've got to organize your time.
You do, and you know, thank you for saying that. One of my favorite metaphors that was brought up along the first round was writing a book is kind of like having a baby in a sense, because you know this mother has to create the space and the nurturing and the time to feed it and be aware, and really how much does your life, for those of you who have kids, how much of your life had to shift in order to create the space for this new being to come into your world.
Yeah.
And so consider your book very similar. Like if when you step into this 126-day challenge with us and you decide to write your book, like you've got to be willing to set up the time. You got to be willing to create the space for it because it's not going to write itself. And so one thing as you jump in, one thing that you'll learn is how to reprioritize your life in a way where you make space. And all you need is just a couple of hours max a day. I mean, maximum. But if you can write every single day and have that consistency, that's what will help you create the momentum moving forward. How about you, David? Anything that you want to share as far as what was your journey? It was like, I love the journey that you took. So can you tell us a little bit about like what opened up for you along the way?
Sure. So I got started writing, and along the way with our calls and I guess like you said, Kim, some of the internal stuff, the blocks that got shifted for me. I actually got funded to complete my album, all the pieces that were. So I had a CD nearly ready to go, but I had a few hurdles with that, and so some of the stuff we did through our book mastermind actually unblocked my hurdles. So the album will be turning up on my doorstep a bunch of these next week.
Oh man, you know what I'm saying? Let's get a round of applause right here.
And,
Wow.
It's very cool, and I on the book side of things, it's been great because now that that's finished off, I've been back into writing, and for me, George, I literally half an hour is usually my max to sit down and churn out some writing. But the exciting thing for me now is having gone through the process, what to do to get my book published, to get it out there, to have it edited, to have a proof turn up and be able to be checked. So I'm actually really, I think I'm more excited now than I have been through the whole thing, because I can see, having completed the album as well, I can see this all happening and really shifting a lot of stuff and making a difference for people when I get it out there. So
awesome.
So I'm buzzing.
Awesome. Yes, it's cool because when you choose it, there's, I think Betsy and Tara and I were talking about it the other day, like when you choose something like this, it opens up something else like way out in left field, and sometimes and in most cases it's not linear. When you choose something like this, something else that has been waiting to pop opens up, and it's like, oh damn, where did that come from? So Betsy, can you speak to that, or Tara, can you speak to that at all?
Sure. Well, for me, you know, I've wanted to write for a long time, and I've kind of done a lot of stops and starts along the way, and then allowed everything to get in the way of that. Like I didn't know what to do, how in the world, what's my message, what do I want to write? You know, I just have all these random things popping in. So, you know, your course really spoke to me because you've got some you know, you've done it, you know how to do it, you've got the systems in place, you've got the mastermind. So as soon as I signed up for it, like the floodgates opened up of all these like little poems and little things just kind of pouring out of me that I, you know, was like, wow, I've been keeping that hidden for so many years, and it's just like the floodgates have opened already. So, and for me, I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to end up writing as the first book or whatever that is, and what it looks like. But it doesn't matter. I'm already so excited.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. So for those of you who are watching this, what you're going to notice is all the information about the mastermind will magically appear about 20 minutes or 30 minutes into the Hangout. But really, we wanted to give you, regardless of whether you join us in 126 days or not, we wanted to give you some insights, some tips and tools, and some strategies so that you can begin the process yourself. And so just become aware of, like, what are all the points of view or the belief systems that you've taken away from what it was like in the past about writing a book, because it used to be difficult. You know, we hear stories about Jack Canfield was rejected 600 plus times for his first Chicken Soup for the Soul book, and it's like now there is no rejection. It's like if you can create a Word document into a PDF and you know how to upload it into a program, you can write a book. I mean, that's how simple it's become. Now the work happens when you step into it and you begin writing. And what you're going to notice is a hero's journey, and I'm going to walk you through that here in a moment. So just become aware of what have you learned in the past about what it takes to write a book. Based on those old experiences, would you be willing just to wipe the slate clean and step into writing your first book from a place of, okay, this could be simple. Sure, I'm going to hit some blocks and challenges along the way, but as long as I've got a support group around me, and that's one of the biggest things that studies show, is that when you are held accountable to achieving a target or a goal, you are far more likely to complete that target or hit that target or goal than you are if you go alone. And that's one of the things that I realize is people love being on a journey together, going toward the same goal. It's like, I don't know why people run 26.2 miles, which is a full marathon, but people from all over the world, they get together and they gather and they run 26.2 miles, and it's not something that many people would do alone. And it's kind of the same thing for writing your book. If you surround yourself with a bunch of other people who are like excited and eager to support you along the way, when you get stuck, it's not like, because here's what happens: somebody who's starting writing their book, right, and they get excited and then they get stuck. They don't know, they don't have a resource, they're missing a skill, or just maybe mentally blocked. There's no support system, so they just put the book in, inside of their computer in this folder and says, okay, I'll get to it later. And then a year goes by, or 2 years go by, 3 years go by, and they never get to the book. The 126-day challenge is designed so that when you get stuck like that, you have places to go, you have people to reach out to, you have resources right there at your fingertips, so that if you choose it, you can get over that hurdle and keep going. So Kim, I'm curious, along the way, what would you say was one of the biggest challenges that you face specifically?
For me, where my book was going, I got about halfway through, and I thought, okay, where is this going now? And it was like the energy fell out of it, so maybe whether that was just a personal thing, that would probably be the biggest challenge. And just, I think that's it.
Yeah, gotcha. And there are things that are going to come along the way, and that's must number one. When you click the link below, it says must number one, anticipate the journey. A new PDF will open up and you can download this. But basically, this is Joseph Model's hero's journey, Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. So Joseph Campbell is really well known for that quote that says, "Follow your bliss, and the universe will open doors where there were only walls." And so that's the power of choice. It's like when you just choose it, there are things that are going to open up that you couldn't have predicted before you chose that thing. And so if you turn to that page, what you're going to see is, let me see if I can do some screen sharing action here. Let me see. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So basically, guys, this is what you see right here. All right, and this is a hero's journey, and this is not something that I created. This is something that's been around for a long time. So when you look at movies like Star Wars, and you look at movies like The Matrix, and those like Superman, all of those hero-type movies, This is the model that a lot of those movies are made out after, and it's Joseph Campbell's A Hero's Journey. So that first step, in the top right-hand side of it, so we're going clockwise with this. So we're going clockwise. That first box is called The Ordinary World. And the ordinary world, this is what happens when you look around, you look at your life, and everything is the same. Everything is ordinary. Everything is a little bit normal. There's no like massive movement happening, and it's like, okay, sort of start asking the question of, is there something more to this? Is there something more to than what I'm living right now? And we've all been there, haven't we? You know, we've all been to that place where we look around, we're like, damn, there's got to be something more. So that's the first box. The next box is the call to adventure. So Joseph Campbell said that every time we have that boredom set in place, during that time we actually call out for a greater adventure, for something to happen. And sometimes that shows up from another person. Sometimes it shows up from, you know, maybe a movie you watch or a quote you hear or a speaker. But you get that call to adventure. And then the next step is the meeting with the mentor. So consider this the meeting with the mentor, and all of your mentors here, all these people who are with us. The meeting with the mentor happens when, like, they give you an idea. So for those of you on this hangout watching or on it live, can you think about a specific time where you had a meeting with a coach or a mentor and they gave you a bit of information or something that helped you make a huge shift in your life and you move forward powerfully? Can you think about a person like that or a time like that? That's what the meeting of the mentor is. Yeah. And then what happens when we get that information, we get inspired, we refuse the call. That's the fourth box down. We refuse the call. It's the refusal of the call. It's what happens is, you know, we have the meeting with the mentor, we can feel the bigness and the transformation and the change happening, but then our resistance kicks in. It's like, oh, well, wait a minute, what about this? What if I fail? What if I don't get it perfect? What if I don't get it right? And all of those, you know, limiting beliefs and fears start to settle in. So initially we refuse the call, and then eventually we get to the point that says, okay, I'm ready to go, and then boom, you cross the threshold. So as it relates to writing your book, the thing that I want to bring to your awareness here is that when you decide to write your book, you're going to go through this similar process where you're going to have like an inner tug of war. Certain things are going to happen within you that are going to challenge you to maybe not write it. Or if you do decide to write it and you step across the threshold to writing it, the next box is called Tests, Allies, and Enemies. Tests, Allies, and Enemies. So when you cross the threshold, what you're going to notice is your internal enemies are going to show up. And maybe as it relates to writing a book, maybe it's the fear of perfection. So I'm curious for you guys here on the Hangout right now, as you've stepped into writing your book, what are some maybe fears or resistance patterns showing up for you as we're about to step into this journey?
Hello.
For me, George, I've actually held back of being judged for writing a book.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so that's a common one. Fear of being judged. You know, you write your book, you put it out into the world, and all of a sudden it's like, you know, you're naked and you're sitting there vulnerable. I mean, not physically. I mean, are you guys going to take off your clothes right now?
Yeah.
So you're naked, right? You got your work out into the world, and it's right there and you're exposed. So, yeah, that's a really powerful one. Thanks for sharing that one, David. What else, guys?
I would say the language, because I'm Swedish and I'm going to write my book in English. So that's quite a challenge for me, actually.
Gotcha. Yeah. So what can you, I guess, add skill-wise to the process that will help make that journey a little bit easier? Cool. What else, guys?
Huh. Fear for me, it's like fear that I'll get started and then I won't finish. Like it's kind of like it'll be this amazing project and then I'm afraid, like, I'll far into it and then all of a sudden I won't cross over the hurdle.
Gotcha. So all of that. So that's what happens when, thank you, Tara. That's what happens when you choose something, right? When you choose something, it's like it's not just butterflies, puppies, and unicorns at that point. right?
Yeah.
That's where the work starts. That's when the uncomfortableness starts. And so that's that box is tests, allies, and enemies. And the next box underneath that one, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th block down, that's entering the innermost cave. That's when you're on this journey and you're really dropping into the core of the process where it's getting challenging. You're also experiencing this great sense of exhilaration that happens. And then the next block, the one at 6 o'clock, the block at 6 o'clock right there, is the ordeal. Now, this is the sort of that epic battle between good and evil. So think of movies that have had this in there, like Superman, or Spider-Man, or any kind of superhero. This is like the epic battle, the ordeal that happens. And usually, this is the biggest hurdle that's going to show up along the way, along your journey. And here's why I really want to bring this to your attention, guys, is that this stuff is going to happen, and you're going to have choices every time a limitation shows up. You can either let it take you off course, and you go into avoidance patterns where you stop writing your book, you disengage from the group, and then you don't do anything else. Or you can step into it with a greater level of presence, a greater level of intensity, a greater level of passion, and whatever it is that's required for you to go beyond that block. And once you get beyond it, that ordeal, whatever that fear is for you, fear of being judged or fear of not finishing, once you get over that, you'll be stronger along the way. And then the next one is called the reward. So after you've gone through the ordeal, you've broken free, and so let's say one of your biggest things is the fear of being judged, and it's hitting you right in your face along the journey. You reach out to your accountability buddy, and you're like, hey man, I'm experiencing this stuff coming up. I'm just totally afraid of being judged. You bring it to the Facebook group, and you say, Facebook group, I got all this junk coming up, and I need to get it handled. Can you help me out? And you ask for support. And the thing is, when you're writing your book alone, guys, when you're alone, you don't have that container there to support you. And so that's why I created the mastermind, so that when you do get stuck, it's like, reach out to somebody, ask for help, reach out to me, reach out to Betsy, reach out to anybody who's there for you. You're also going to have an accountability group of anywhere from 8 to 10 people that you can reach out to as well. So the support is there when your shit shows up, because your shit is going to show up. You guys can I say, how about we say together, let's move through the shit. Yeehaw! 1, 2, 3.
Let's move through the shit.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay. So, after you choose to move through the ordeal, whatever it is for you, fear of failure, fear of not finishing, fear of judgment, fear of ridicule, whatever it is for you, and you reach out and you get over it, you get past it, next comes the reward. And that's the one right next to it on the left, the reward. That's when you become a little bit stronger, or you become a little bit more aware, or you gain insight from that ordeal that leaves you a bit stronger. And then the next step is the road back. So along the road back, along the journey back, what you're going to notice is there's a tiny little box, and this box is at 9 o'clock if you were looking at a watch. There's a tiny little box above that, and that little box is death. So write death in there, or imagine death in there. And this is the death of a limitation, a death of a part of you that had been stopping you. Right? So this is where you lose a part of you that's been a huge limitation, and you step into a greater version of you. So a part of you dies along the way. So remember that scene in The Matrix when Neo gets shot by the agent, but he sort of comes back?
Yeah.
There is a part of him that died. The next step is the resurrection. You look at Jesus, praise the Lord, praise Jesus up in here. You look at Jesus and his resurrection, and that's the next step. So after you die, after that part of you dies, there's a resurrection that happens, and then the final step is you return with the elixir. You return with the elixir. You return with greater awareness, or greater insight, or greater wisdom that you're now going to be sharing with the world, and that, my friends, will come in the form of your book. So when you write your book and you go through the process of taking this hero's journey, your elixir, what you come back with, is your published book that you now get to share with the world. So I wish this process were easy. I wish I could just say, once you choose it, it's all good, you're all set. But choosing it actually is the easy part, guys. Like, choose the easy part. The challenging part happens when you say, I'm going to continue the journey. I don't give a shit what shows up along the way. I'm going to reach out to my accountability buddies. I'm going to reach out on Facebook. I'm going to be vulnerable. And when something comes up for me, I'm going to face it, and I'm not going to run from it. Because here's the beauty that I love about what your first book will do for you, is it will be one of your greatest teachers. It will be one of your greatest teachers because everything, oh, I love this. Everything that happens along the way in writing your first book, as far as limitations go, those will be the same limitations that are stopping you in other areas of your life.
How does it get any better than that?
You know, for me, George, as you were talking, it really kind of reminds me, you know, like of the other parts of your life where you go through those same journeys, you know, and you get to the muck of stuff, and then you go through it, and other things, you know, and then what comes out of all of that is just amazing. So it's really interesting to me to see that it's kind of the same process with writing.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and you know, the 126th day, think of it as like a container, and it will squeeze you. And a great metaphor to consider is, how are diamonds made?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, through intense pressure, right? So the mastermind will put some pressure on you. It will challenge you, and your stuff will come up, and you'll want to make the program wrong. You'll want to make me wrong. You'll want to make your accountability buddies wrong. But instead of running from it, why not face it? Because what I realized when I wrote my first book, man, right as I was at the cusp, of publishing it, I had all kinds of emails coming at me saying, you know, you were never homeless, and how dare you call yourself homeless? And it hurt, man. It really hurt. And I had second thoughts of whether I should publish the book or not, but I said, you know what, this is, and I get even a little teared up thinking about it, but like, this is what had stopped me before. It's like what other people think I should do. And once I said, fuck it, I'm going to step into it and step through it, like after I got the book out into the world, a bigger version of me stepped out into the world, and I've never looked back.
Yeah, I remember that time. That's cool.
Yeah. So that, just know that like the hero's journey is, I wanted to share it in that context because it's not just all puppies, butterflies, and hand jobs. What you're going to notice is like
there's no hand jobs? Damn.
It's going to be a big challenge, and the beautiful thing is that you're going to have the support. You're going to have the resources. So I bring in a group of experts who are publishing experts, editing experts, book cover design experts, launch experts, how to use your book to get on TV experts, how to use your book to get speaking engagement experts, and we have 18 calls per course of 126 days, so that you have all the resources literally at your fingertips. And so that's one of the biggest things that I'm super pumped about. And I'd love to hear from like Monica or Otto or even you, Tara. What, you guys have your book and it's coming through you. I'm curious, what is it that inspired you to choose the program?
Do you want me to start? Monica here. I've had the energy of the book in me for a couple of years, but actually it popped when I saw your program on Facebook. It just popped, and I just knew that this is what I'm going to do. Because I had, like, you know, you hear the stories about the struggling artist, the struggling writer, it's going to be tough and everything. And then I got into your program and read about it, and you have all the tools, and you have, like, the support and everything, and it was something in your message that just hooked me. So, how can we make this with a lot of ease? That's what and a lot of energy. That's what I'm attracted to.
So you chose it just because it popped for you, and not even having the cognitive awareness of why you just followed that energy.
Exactly.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. How about you, Tara?
So, for me, I've had the idea of the possibility of writing a book for a long time. There's a story inside of me that I think is really important to get out there for a lot of people, and I would never give myself the time or the structure. I would not know even the first place to start. And when I watched your video on the what is the name, the website, it's Become an Author in 126 Days. When I saw that video, and you just basically, your video, first of all, I was in tears because as I was watching your video, it was like everything that I thought that would limit me was kind of just like, okay, here's, now you have, like, I had no ammo to, like, back out. I was just like, okay, this is it. And then after that, it was like I started to see, it was almost like I started to see all these things pop of how the book was already being written through half of my projects that I've created in the past. And I just started to see, oh my God, it's like right there. All I got to do is compile everything together and whatever's next, you know what I'm saying? So I think that, like, you're just the next step, like, in this journey of this book wanting to be born. It's just happening, like, really, like this. And you're like, this Mastermind is like it. It's, I just know that this is my next step with it. So I'm really grateful.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Tara. And I'm so grateful for all of you guys. Like, I wish I could just take a bite out of you right now. I'm so excited for there's a in this group. Oh, hey. There's such a beautiful creativity that's stepping into this group. And I think right now there are more than 20 plus people from 7 or 8 different countries joining us. And so the combination of experiences and creative flow that's going to come through the group, I'm super pumped about. So just wanted to share 7 things. Like, here are the 7 biggest excuses that aspiring authors use as an excuse to keep them from becoming published authors. So you may want to write this down somewhere. The first one is the fear that it won't be perfect, and we got to nip this one in the bud really early on.
Yeah.
It's like if we're writing from that place of it needing to be perfect, you don't want to write a book to just write a book. Like, why not write a book and enjoy the process, you know? And so I remember when I published my first book, when I got it back, I had all kinds of different errors in it. And the cool thing about the program that we'll be using with CreateSpace is that you can edit, you can continue to edit on the fly. So the key is, like, let's get it out. Right? Let's get that first book out into the world as best you can without trying to get it perfect. Let's enjoy the process. Because another thing you want to consider is, like, if you are in joy when you're writing the book, the end user or the end reader is going to experience that. So, like, just get over trying to get it perfect, and let's just enjoy the process. The second one is the lie that you don't have anything important or valuable to say. You know, a lot of people reached out to me. They said, well, what do I write about? And I'm like, well, nobody's lived your life. You know, you're the only one that has ever lived your life. If you're willing to just step into it and choose to write it, like, you'll be surprised at, like Betsy said earlier, you'll be surprised at some of the ideas that show up as a result of just making the choice. And so, you know, only you know what you know like you know it, and why not put it in a book? You know, the third thing is the fear of being seen or being judged, which we just talked about. The fourth one is no support system. This might be the biggest one because, again, when you get stuck and you don't have any kind of support system around you, it's easy just to, you know, just to say, okay, I'll do this later, I'll handle this later. And one of my favorite quotes is from Tony Robbins. He says that in so many cases we're more likely to do more for others than we are ourselves. And so when you have a group of people from all around the world holding you accountable and challenging you saying, hey, you're committed to this journey, what can we do to support you? It's a lot harder to give up than it is when you're alone. So having a support system is huge. Number 5 is the excuse of I don't know how. That's why I created this program, you know, is so that you can be plugged into a container where every single week we have a call on a specific topic, so that you know what you need along the way to run through the finish line. Yeah. And we also have, like, clearing calls at times where we'll do, like, a random clearing call if somebody's getting stuck or there's a common theme. Like, we'll step in and we'll create some bonus calls along the way. And then number 6 is no vision, no target, no outcome, which we're going to address right now. And the 7th piece is there's no structure. So one tip that I always recommend for first-time authors is, if you have an idea or a sense of what your first book wants to be, find a book written by an author that you admire that has a similar structure or outline that you would like to model. You don't have to create it yourself. You can take that shortcut by modeling. And that's, you know, a big way of how I wrote my first couple of books is I read books that I really liked. I liked how they structured it. I liked how they outlined it. And instead of, like, stressing out over how I was going to outline it, I just said, okay, I'm going to utilize this outline, not exactly, but in my own unique way, and it helped me just really shave some time off. So, guys, any questions or any thoughts? There's a couple of questions that I want to address that I've gotten from people, but anything you want to add right here, right now?
I just want to add, I thought at the first time I'm not ready for this journey. And then I realized the next moment I will be never ready. And I just choose it and I say, okay, I do it and let's go.
That's awesome, Otto. Gosh, that's so awesome. A similar metaphor to that is like, for those of you who have kids, were you fully ready to have your first baby?
No.
Yeah, you're never ready. There's never a perfect time, and you're never going to be ready, and you're never going to have enough money.
Exactly. I wasn't even ready for a third one, so there you go.
One of my mentors.
Got to say ciao, George. I've got a gig to go to. So
all right,
it's me shooting off. Great hanging with
Bye,
you guys.
David.
Bye, David.
Hi, David.
Love you, brother. So yeah, when you write your first book, I love that you brought that up, Otto. Thank you for bringing it up. There's no perfect time. A lot of times people wait for the light to be green, all the lights to be green on the road before they press on the gas, and that's just not going to happen. One of my mentors along the way, Lisa Sasevich, taught me a concept that says build the plane while you fly it. Build the plane while you fly it, and that's what writing your first book is about. It's being flexible, being willing to change and switch and shift, and be conscious and flexible and aware along the way as you write it. So build the plane as you fly it. Any other questions? There's a couple of questions I want to address here in a moment. Okay, cool. So Lisa Bennett's actually sent me an email. Let me pull it up real quick, and she asks. So she has a question. She has lots of ideas. How do you focus? So I'd also love to hear from you guys. One thing that I'll mention, Lisa, if you're watching this, is if you have a lot of ideas for a lot of different books, just kind of in your mind or in your awareness, just place all the books up there separately, individually, and just ask which one wants to be written first. And you'll get an awareness. One of them will lean forward or peek in or pop in or say something to you or talk dirty to you, and you'll know that's the first book you should write. How about you guys? Any suggestions for that?
Well, one of the things I was wondering too is, what if there are people out there who are thinking about writing fiction, and it's not a story about their lives? They would still follow that same circle thing that you showed us earlier, right? It's still kind of the same story there. Yeah.
So the hero's journey is simply a model of what you're going to experience when you write your book. Like, challenges are going to show up, enemies are going to show up, haters are going to show up, and once you get through it, like, you'll have this magical elixir called your book.
Cool. Yeah, awesome.
So that's what I recommend, Lisa Bennett, if you're watching this. Just place all the ideas in front of you and say which one would like to be written first. And then the one that pops for you, stay committed to that one. Stay focused on that one. And it doesn't mean that because I had a couple people during the recent mastermind that they were writing 2 or 3 different books at the same time. And the challenge with that is that we sort of dilute the power of our concentration, of our focus. And for me personally, when I'm focusing on one specific project, I can get it done fast. And so everybody's different. If you are somebody who wants to write 2 or 3 books at a time during this mastermind, you want to ask yourself a question. Am I using writing multiple books as a dilution, as an avoidance, or is this just how I best create? Is this how I'm best going to create these books? So that's a key question that you want to ask Lisa. And then also she says, and these are great questions, and I'm sure there's other people who have asked these in their head at least, finding the time, scheduling it. Is it a daily practice? I say yes, and I'd love to hear from you, Kim. For me, it is a daily practice because there's a certain level of consistency. So there's a metaphor I'll share from, what's his name? The guy who created Success Magazine. It'll come to me. But he talks about this back in the day. We used to use this, you know, the water pumps to get water from the ground, and we'd pump water, and you know, initially nothing would happen, and we keep pumping, we keep pumping, we keep pumping. Eventually, you get this nice stream of water that comes out, and then, you know, after that, you just need a consistent, steady flow, baby. You know, nothing too rigorous, just a consistent, steady flow. But the minute you walk away from the pump, what happens to the water? Well, the water stops coming. Hold on one second. The water stops coming, and then you got to go back to the pump, and you start pumping again, and you got to put in that extra effort, and then boom, the water comes, and then all you need is that nice steady flow. So my philosophy is create some consistency with a daily practice. Like find a time during the day when you're most creative, when you're most effective at writing, and block out 30 minutes to an hour a day every single morning or evening or whenever it is during that day. That's what I recommend, and the people who are either right on the cusp of being published or are published from the last mastermind, they had a rigorous daily or at least a weekly practice where they were giving themselves time and scheduling that time consistently. Another thing that I'm going to add to the 126-day program is my productivity training. So it will teach you how to prioritize your highest activities so that you're focused on important tasks versus tasks that are just stealing your time. So I'm going to add that as a bonus to the mastermind, and that will help you organize and prioritize your day to make space for this new book to come through. And then the third question she asks is, do you utilize a computer or handwrite, and then what modes do you suggest for creation? Me personally, I use a computer because I can kind of follow the storyline or the flow of the book inside of the Word document. But everybody's a little bit different. If my suggestion to you, Lisa, is what's going to work best for you? Is it writing in a journal and then somehow taking that information and plugging it into a Word document? You know, maybe you have to hire an editor along the way, and Donna Mazzatelli, who's our editor inside of the mastermind, we're going to be doing a free call with her on editing, and if you need a professional editor, she's there for you to do that as well. But you can use, as far as modes, you can use Scrivener. Scrivener is a good program for that. It allows you to, you know, kind of scribble ideas, and also Evernote is a good program for that, just a couple. But one thing I'd recommend for anybody who has that same question is just Google, you know, book writing apps and see what shows up. Just use Google as your personal assistant and see what Google comes up with, because people are creating amazing stuff all the time, and there's probably resources that I'm not even aware of out there. So great questions, Lisa. I really appreciate those questions. Well, guys, anything else you want to share here?
Yeah, may I add something? When Lisa talked about being focused, what I get that I had a lot of subjects going on, like what I wanted my book to be about, but when I actually chose what it was supposed to be about, I've chosen to be present with it all the time, and what actually happens is that I have it in the back of my head, kind of, so whatever I do, there's ideas popping up, and like I'm relating to the book, and I'm getting stuff that I can put in the book. So a tip from me is to like always write down all these ideas that pop up, like in your iPhone or your iPad, because when you're actually choosing it, it's just gonna start working. Like it starts moving, you know. Mm-hmm. So just write everything down, and then finally you'll have a book. That's what's coming to me.
Brilliant. Yeah, I love that, Monica. Yeah, find a place on your phone, or maybe you've got a voice recorder on your phone app that you can use. Just find whatever's going to work best for you, and there's no like right or wrong or perfect way to do it. It's just a matter of having somewhere to capture those ideas and capture those thoughts when they do want to come through, because they'll come through at some random times.
Like in the shower.
Yeah. Yeah. When you first wake up in the morning.
Yeah, awesome.
But you know what came in for me, George, was, you know, if somebody has a lot of different book ideas or a lot of different things, and they come into your mind, like Monica was saying, just, you know, write them down, and then, you know, put them so you don't forget it. It's like, hey, because, you know, creativity, you don't want to halt any of that, but just, you know, okay, cool, that's a great idea. Write it down, put it in the folder, and then go back to, you know, whatever the book is that is asking to be written.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
There you go. Nice, Betsy. Very nice. Yeah, guys, great suggestions. And so for if anybody else had that question, hopefully that helps. There is a space underneath the video hangout here where you can type in a question, and we'll check in on those every now and again. So feel free to type in a question there. Okay, so the next piece, guys, that I really want to cover that's so important, and I would say personally that this was the most important thing that I did along the way that helped me stay inspired through the process. Because, man, when your internal stuff comes up, like, oh crap, this is, this isn't reading well, or oh crap, this is stupid, or oh crap, who the heck's gonna want to read this book? Oh crap, I gotta take a crap, whatever it is that shows up. Like, you want to make sure that you're finding a way to stay inspired, and how you do that is must number 2 that you'll see underneath the video, which is begin with the end in mind. So when you click that link, must number 2, you're going to get a sheet that looks like this. All right, so basically, guys, you're going to want to begin with the end in mind. So the beauty of our brains is that it doesn't know the difference between something that we vividly imagine and something that we actually experience. And when you go into the future and you create the version of you that has a published book, and you get that into your neurology, you get that into your consciousness, your brain doesn't know the difference. It thinks that that's happening right now. And when you visualize that or embody that energy over and over and over again, your mind, your brain, whatever, your awareness, whatever you want to call it, is going to do its best to fill in that tension gap that happens to take you from where you are to where you want to be. Here's a great example. So what do you guys notice? I'm curious. What do you guys notice when you get a new car? What do you notice more of in the environment?
Smell.
Come on, guys. What do you notice more of when you get a new car? What do you see more of in the environment?
Totally the smell. Oh, and you see more of your car.
Exactly.
Out there.
Exactly. Yeah, you see your car everywhere you go, and the reason that is because when you get a new car, how much attention, love, and focus do you have on this new car? And so, your awareness is on it. You call your friends. You say, hey, I'm going to come pick you up. We're going for a ride in my new car. I can't wait for the weekend to come so I can go take a road trip. You wake up early so you can go drive your car. You got all your attention and your focus on this new car. All the while, there's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. This part of your brain is designed to keep an eye out for anything that you hold in your dominant focus. So when you are focusing on your new car, you're tuning that part of your brain to keep an eye out for anything that's in resonance with whatever it is that's in your consistent focus. All of a sudden, you start seeing this car everywhere you go. The question is, were those cars always there? Yes. Yes. The cars were always there. Hey, that's Facebook. The cars were always there. It's just you turn that part of your brain, and so why not use that?
We saw that.
Why not?
I know, that's why it took me a while to comment on the car thing. It was like sending George like, you look awesome. Just saying, George.
Yeah, so the key, guys, here as we focus in here is begin with the end in mind, and I'm going to walk you through some exercises here that will help you get more clear on that. So here, I'm just going to give you an example of my 4 targets for writing my first book. Was number 1, to get my story out into the world. I knew I had a really potent story that I wanted to share with people that could inspire people, that can help people overcome their obstacles. And that was one of my first primary intentions. And the next thing was to grow my speaking career. So, we all know that as entrepreneurs, if we have a book, we have a higher level of credibility as it relates to our topic. And so I wanted to blow up my speaking career, and that was one of the intentions that I had set up too, with beginning with the end in mind. The next thing was I wanted to become a published author. I thought, how cool would it be to become a published author? I remember meeting a guy networking like 5 years ago. His name is Jonathan Mansky. And I met him, and I was like, really cool guy, really cool presence. And then a week later, I was in a weekend seminar, and I saw a book, and it said, and I saw his picture on the back by Jonathan Mansky, and the book was called Law of Attraction Made Simple. And I was like, oh my God, I got to reach out to this guy because he was a published author. I had this whole different frame of him. And so when you become a published author, people just look at you differently. People talk to you differently. They put you like in this light, like, oh my God, that's so awesome. I've always wanted to write a book. And so people just interact with you completely differently when you're a published author. And so I just want to step into that light. And then the fourth thing was I want to get on TV. So one of my targets in 2014 was to get on TV, and I had no idea how. But I wrote my book, and then I met a guy named Clint Arthur, by the name of Clint Arthur, and Clint helps people like us who have a message get on TV, like local and national television, with their books. And he's actually one of the resources inside of the mastermind that you'll be learning from. And so those were my 4 targets. So I thought, okay, if these are my targets, this is what I'm moving toward. This will help keep me inspired along the way when those things came up. And then, after I wrote my book, I had all these people send me selfies of, them with my book, and it was so inspiring, guys. There's no feeling like holding your book, your published book, in your hand, and it's an even greater feeling for people that you know and you don't know who are sending you pictures of your book, and they're holding it. So this is such a joyful journey, and yes, it's challenging, and yes, it will challenge you, and it will kick your ass, and you'll get up, and you'll be stronger, you'll be better, and you'll have a group around you who's going to support you. But this key here, guys, is we want to get clear on what is it, why is it that we want to write our book. All right, so you'll get a chance, guys, and I do want to jump in here with you guys and ask you why, Tara or Otto or Monica or Kim, why is it that you want to write your book? What's your intention or your target? What are a couple of those?
I want to share my ideas with the world. I want to inspire others. So this is my my target.
That's awesome, Otto. Awesome, man. Thank you.
And that's same with mine. Is I would like to share what I know with people so that they can have the same kind of information that I without too much story. I'd like to just help people and help mainly kids, kids, preteens, teenagers,
Awesome,
and beyond.
Kira. Yeah, that's awesome, and I love the more associated you are to the energy of your target, your outcome, and your intention, the harder it will be for you to give up along the way when those challenges come through. So get connected, guys. Get really energetically and emotionally connected to that outcome. What about you guys? Betsy, Monica, Kim?
I would say partly share my story, but because I'm a politician, and I'm really longing for conscious politics. So I'm doing like being the conscious politician.
Yeah.
Is that even possible? So as part of that, that's kind of, but also credibility in this area, because there's nothing like it. So that's what I'm kind of looking for.
Wow.
Cool, cool. So for those of you, I know if you've signed up for the program, take yourself through this. So when you sign up, you're going to get directed to a page that has everything you need to do before we get started. And this is one of the exercises that's really important, is getting super clear on why you're writing your book. What are you moving toward? What's the intention? What's the target? And make it juicy, make it delicious, make it succulent, so that when challenges show up, and they will, you've got that internal fire and you're moving toward the target. So how about you, Kim or Betsy?
I'm actually looking to see if I can find what I wrote down and see if it's actually, I wrote mine, am writing mine, because I've had such an amazing transformation in the last, say, 5-6 years. I just wanted to share that with other people and say, hey, if I can do this, you can too.
Nice. Nice, Kim. Thank you, darling. Betsy, are you clear on the target and why you're writing a book?
Yeah, I actually, it's echoing a lot of what everybody else is saying, and I've had so many people say to me, you should write a book, you should write a book, you should, share your story, and, now that it's, so I'm really excited about it.
Awesome, awesome. So whatever it is for all of you who are watching, whether this is a recording you're on with us live, get really clear on what that outcome, what those outcomes are. And the more you have that are super compelling, the easier it's going to be just to keep going when things get tough. Because a big thing, guys, is people who sign up for the program, not everybody will be published in 126 days. In fact, the majority of people won't be published. But the primary target of this mastermind is, if you stay engaged and you stay inside of the process and you keep writing, you will have an unstoppable momentum in the process of writing your book. Like, Kim is not 100% published right now, but right there on the cusp, and she's got a momentum that she didn't have before the mastermind. Is that right, Kim?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Cool, awesome. So also another suggestion, guys, is to do your vision story. So your vision story is basically writing a story of what your future is like as a published author. So I wrote this story. I'll read it to you. I wrote this story before I published my book, just to get it in my energy, because one of the greatest tools that I've used in my 10 years in the personal transformation field is visualization of bringing my future to my present now. So here's what I wrote down, I mean, almost daily. I said, it feels so amazing, or I wrote this once and I read it every day. I said, it feels so amazing to finally be a published author. Opportunities are coming out of the woodwork and I'm being paid high fees to speak all over the world. I'm traveling all over the country to be on TV and share my message with the world. How did I get so lucky? My exposure is exploding and the adventure continues, and it continues to get better and better. My business has exploded to a new level as the result of publishing my book. People who have read the book are giving me so much amazing feedback. I see people all over the world reading my book and gaining valuable insights. How much more awesome can it all get? So I wrote that once, and I read it every day, and I got connected to it. So my suggestion to you with this exercise is take 10 or 15 minutes and write down like that kind of energetic story, that emotional story that allows you to get connected of what it will be like being a published author. Once you embody the energy, guys, of that, it's like you're going to move forward so powerfully. But if you're just stuck in, where I am right now and I can't seem to get beyond this, if you embody the energy of being a published author, eventually, like your brain won't let you do anything else, because if you believe you're a published author and you embody that energy, you're going to do whatever it takes. So that's another key suggestion that you can do, is write your future version of your story of being a published author. Cool. So I'm going to pop back in here. Awesome. So begin with the end in mind, and that's the second must. And if you're willing to really get connected to that future version of you that's published, like really get the awareness of what it's like, how your book is having an impact, all the people that it is impacting, how much joy you feel as a result of have gone through the process, you're just going to be more inspired to go through the challenges when things get tough, and they will. All right. So the third must that I want to share, and I want to maybe wrap up here in the next 15 minutes max, but the third must is to surround yourself with a group of people who are on the journey with you. I wish it were easier than that. I wish I could just say, just choose to write a book, write it, and it's all good. But it's a challenge, and that's why this 126 days has been put together, is to create a container of people who want to support you, and also you have to want to support other people. So this mastermind is probably not a good fit for you if you just want to join and just take. Join the mastermind because you also want to give, you also want to contribute, you also want to help other people get over their stuff, because a lot of other people's internal stuff and internal blocks might be your internal blocks too. So that's the challenge, is how do you surround yourself? And it doesn't even have to be, this specific mastermind, but find people who are writing a book, and find people who are going to support you. Get an accountability buddy, connect with somebody who's writing a book, and get an accountability buddy, so that when stuff gets rough and things happen and stuff shows up, you can call them and say, hey man, I'm having a rough day, can we chat a little bit? So having that back and forth is going to be immensely helpful on your journey. So if it hasn't shown up, it will in a moment, but you can see below the video, if you just scroll down, you're going to see all the important details of the mastermind. And basically, it's going to list out every single call that we have with the specific topic on the date and the time, so that you're able to mark your calendars for the entire journey. You're also going to see all the different options that you have in terms of payment. And I want to offer a bonus here. So if you're on this live, if you're watching the recording, this does not apply to you. But if you're on this live, and there were over 70 people who signed up for this Hangout. And so if you are one of the first 5 people to say yes and join us in the mastermind, then you're going to get 2 gifts. The first gift is, as soon as your registration comes through, I'm going to refund you $100. So you get $100 off if you are one of the first 5 to sign up, and if you're one of the first 10 to sign up, you're going to get a free 30-minute laser coaching session with me, because the thing that's going to happen is when you jump in and you start writing your book, you're going to get stuck. And we also have an amazing book writing coach. Her name is Chris Jordan, who's also inside of the mastermind. But you can have a one-on-one session with me, and if you have any mental hurdles that you need to get over along the way and you just can't seem to break through them, you're going to have that sort of tucked in your back pocket. You're going to have a session with me just ready to go anytime you get stuck. So if you're one of the first 5, you get a free session and also $100 off. And if you're one of the first 10, you get, a free 30-minute session with me. So I invite you to take a look.
People. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I invite you, if you're watching this, take a look at all the details. And if you don't see any of the details below, go to Become a Published Author in 126days.com, and you'll be able to see all the details. But we do have a regular early bird price in effect, and that goes through April 19th. On April 20th at midnight, the price will jump up to $14.95. But right now, you can get in for one payment of $7.95, or you can do the 3 pay of $2.99. And if you're one of the first 5, and I see your payment come through, I'll keep an eye out. If I see your payment come through, I'm going to send you $100 back, and then you're also going to have a 30-minute session with me. So make sure and take advantage of that and get in. Ladies and gents, any questions?
How does it get any better than that?
That was what I was going to say.
So are you going to put the link on the bottom where people can sign up for the class? I've got people sending me messages asking me.
Yeah. So if you scroll down, guys, on the Hangout page, as long as you've been on the Hangout page for longer than 20 minutes, all the details should pop up. Do you see, Betsy? Do you see the details?
No, I can't see it from mine.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's because I'm on the call or.
Interesting. Let's see. So if you're watching this, guys, information should have popped up. But if it hasn't, go to Become a Published Author in 126days.com, and you'll be able to see all the details there. Just scroll down, you'll see the price options, and you still have a couple of days. But if you are one of those people who just likes to take action fast, then you'll get to take advantage of the free session and the $100 rebate, if you will, the $100 refund that you'll get. And if you still need to think about it, you still got a couple of days before that early bird ends. So, we're all plugged in. There's a ton of us from all around the world already plugged in. There's people from previous mastermind who have renewed and are going to continue the journey. And so my question to you is, are you going to join?
That's cool.
Are you going to plug yourself into a group of people who want to support you and encourage you and empower you along the way? Or are you going to continue to write the book on your own? So regardless of whether you join our mastermind or not, find a way to get yourself surrounded with other people who are on the journey with you. That will just make it so much more easier.
That's really cool.
How much fun can we have?
Right? I don't think we're going to have any.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
just from this panel, there are some amazing. I'm just grateful to be with a group of such amazing people, and I can't wait to see what gets created here. This is exciting.
I know, for sure.
Awesome.
For sure.
Me too, guys. Well, thank you for being a part of the Hangout, guys. We're going to wrap up. I'm going to check one last thing, see if there's any last questions on the Hangout page. Let's see here. So Raul West says, thanks for the loads of inspiration, info, and tools applicable to any sort of project. How does it get better than that? Awesome. Janice says, I didn't get all 7 excuses that stop us from writing. Could you please post? Janice, if you go to Become a Published Author in 126days.com, you'll see all those 7 excuses right there in that thread. Portland is looking good on me. Thank you, Raul West. Annie says, hey, 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 excited. No questions. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, that's a wrap, and you'll get the recording of this if you're not on it live or if you just joined us here in a moment. Kim sent me a message. Cool.
Sorry, just silliness. All of us are being silly.
We're multitasking on Facebook at the same time.
Awesome, you guys. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you all for being on, and I'm super pumped to be on the journey with you. We start April 22nd, and so you'll be getting constant communication from me to make sure that you have all the tools you need to get started. Reach out to me if you have any questions on the process. Have an amazing day, whatever day it is, and I'll be grateful for you all.
Come play with us.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Good night.
How
See you
about,
soon.
can we get like a howling dog on 3? 1, 2, 3.
Ow!